Ruslan.
Speaking of artists, creatives, hip hop, the pressures that comes with all of it, I wanted to highlight another interview that I was up last night, and this thing spoke to me, man. Jack Conte, I think that's how you say his name, the CEO of Patreon, which, by the way, if you're not a Patreon, you should consider becoming one. A lot of times we open up our Zoom calls. We have all kinds of exclusive content on there. Jack Conte is the creator of Patreon. If you guys don't know, recently, Joe Budden joined Patreon, and he is also having a Patreon channel of his own, which is super dope. Jack Conte just dropped this entire 46-minute interview with Joe Budden that I wanted to highlight, and then I wanted to highlight another Jack video. And this part right here, a lot of you guys really need to hear, especially if you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you're trying to get into the music industry, all these different things. A lot of you guys really need to hear this. And those of you guys that are asking about where am I at with music, a lot of you guys don't know, I started as a musician. I quit my job at my church in 2015, went full-time with music, did primarily music up until about a year ago when the pandemic started, and then I pivoted to YouTube, and now YouTube's been my full-time income since about November-ish, okay? And so, a lot of you guys that ask about where I'm at with music, this clip is gonna answer that for you, okay? If you're watching this, you're finding value from it, do me a solid, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps a lot when you do that. You tell YouTube that you like this video, and YouTube will then push it up the algorithm. Let's get into this Joe Budden interview with Jack. He asks him, are you going to get back into music? He asks Joe Budden, who, if you guys don't know who Joe Budden is, one of the top podcasters, and he stopped doing music. He was signed to Eminem for a while, he was signed to Def Jam for a while, and he stopped doing music and pivoted to podcasts. And Jack asks him, are you gonna get back into doing music?
How can I be tempted if I know what I would tell my 16-year-old self?
Yeah.
If this is the design of it,
If this is the design of it,
then how could I just marvel at the design? And how could I really say that I'm about fixing it if I'm complicit in it?
if this is the design of it, how can I just marvel at the design and how I can go about fixing it? Fixing what? The music industry, the media industry, artists not owning their masters, artists not owning their platforms. How can I go about fixing it if I'm complicit in it?
And I am complicit if I'm participating.
Woo! And I am complicit if I'm participating.
I will rap again, Jack.
Okay.
I will rap again, Jack. Listen.
And when I do, it'll be the art in its truest form. It'll be rid of the evil. It'll be rid of the politics, the nastiness, the devils. It'll be rid of the ill-intentioned. It'll be rid of desperation. It will be rid of necessity, the need. It won't be because this is warranted and somebody's asking for it. It won't be because the streets need it. Somebody needs a collab. This rapper called. This award show is coming. No.
Right now, rapping to you feels like being complicit
It's jail.
in evil design.
It's not as jail. It minimizes me. I'm insulted almost.
That was a whole lot Joe Budden just said. Now, Joe Budden, as far as I know, is not a follower of Jesus, but I think his point here is extremely powerful about being complicit in a system that keeps artists trapped, keeps artists broke. And again, go watch the full interview. You guys should really check this full thing out, especially if you want to get into the music business or even just the creator space in general. He talks about being signed to Def Jam Records. This is like at the peak of Def Jam Records. I'm talking Jay-Z, DMX, Ja Rule. This era, he was signed. He had a #1 record. He went gold and he was broke. So he took a job working in radio, making $250,000 a year, was told to quit by his record label because they said you couldn't be a rapper and a radio personality at the same time. And he struggled, continues struggling. Now, he tells early on in the story how he dealt with substance abuse, how he struggled with addiction and all these different things, mental health, and how all of these tensions of being an artist, being creative, being vulnerable are terribly compounded when you look at the dysfunction that hip hop, but specifically the music industry is. So when people ask me, Ruslan, oh, when have you got new music coming out? When are you doing this? And not a ton of y'all ask me, but some of y'all ask me, some of y'all still care. I'm gonna do music again, but when I do, It's going to be on my own terms. When I do, it's not going to be about getting on a playlist. It's not going to be about feeding the clout beast of whatever it is hip hop is. And by the way, this stuff is not much different in the Christian side of things. A lot of times in the Christian side of things, the deals are worse. The arrangements are worse. The splits are worse. The politics is worse. Christian hip hop is, goodness gracious, one of the most dysfunctional communities I've ever been a part of. It's so dysfunctional that when I started getting with Christian entrepreneurs, when I started getting around Christian YouTubers, it was almost like, oh man, this is weird. This is like almost too good to be true. Building with brothers like Alan Parr, building with guys like John McCrae from What Do You Mean? It's like, wow, this is so different. This is so different than stinking Christian hip hop in the music business, in the music industry. And remember, I did deals with Interscope. I know some of these presidents of these major labels. But wow, the way Joe Budden breaks this down was so powerful and doing it on his own terms. And I want to show you guys this other clip from Jack's channel. And this should inspire you, okay? This should inspire you because he talks about this new renaissance that's coming to creatives, that's coming to creative entrepreneurs, that's coming to rappers, all of these different things. I want you guys to watch this clip because, and I got a Bible verse for you, so watch to the very end to tie all this in. As a Christian creator, as just a creator that wants to remain healthy, mentally stable, all these different things, check this clip out. This is really powerful. Again, this is from Jack's YouTube channel about Patreon raising $155 million. Patreon is, again, if you guys want to partner with what we're doing, you can support this channel, support what I'm doing over at Patreon. But check out this clip. This is really cool.
Bigger explosion in the number of creators over the coming decades, and then this cycle is just going to keep feeding back on itself.
So check this out. Creators used to need the music industry corporations to get money, right? But what's starting to happen is that we call it Legoizing creative businesses. So YouTube now has a channel membership. Shout out to someone earlier, they became a channel member, right? YouTube has an applaud button. All of these different things make it easy for a creator to make some money. And then when there's these different legalizing, these different creative outlets like Patreon, waste for creators to get paid, whether it's merchandising, Teespring, whatever, it creates more payment opportunities then that allows creators to build actual businesses. You guys don't know, like King's Dream is an actual business. Like we're an LLC with an S Corp, we have payroll, we pay taxes, like that's freaking awesome, right? Like I've never like had payroll and gotten direct deposit from my own LLC. We pay Zach, we pay my wife, right? And that allows us to crush it. And when we have more creators crushing it, then that starts changing culture. That starts changing people's imagination of what they can become, and that you don't need to just follow the industrial system machine of going to school for X amount of years, getting a job in an office space, doing the stable thing, that you could potentially do something different and be disruptive in a marketplace.
The second renaissance is here.
The second renaissance
right now.
is here.
It's been here for a while, but a lot of people are just starting to see it. Creators are about to have leverage. They're about to have choice. Global creativity is about to be financed and celebrated to a degree that's going to make the first renaissance feel like a blip in a history book. If you're a creative person and you're alive today, this is literally the best time in the history of humanity to be on this planet. What's going to happen over the next 10 years is going to be awesome.
How cool is that, man? And so here they are. Jack, Joe Budden, Patreon, shout out to them. I mean, Patreon changed my life, if I'm honest with you guys. YouTube's changed my life. These are some incredible tools and accesses that we have. But I have a verse that I want to take the Christian creative to, the follower of Jesus. You're watching this video, you're paying attention to what's going on. Maybe you've done our free training in the description about how to find your voice and your niche below, right? And you're trying to process this, you're trying to understand this. I got a verse for you guys that is gonna glue this thing together. One of my favorite verses, I've talked about this on the channel, okay, because this renaissance is here. This renaissance is here now. Like there's money in being an artist now. There's money in being a YouTuber. You can sustain yourself. You can live a good life. You can save. You can give. You could be generous. You could impact people. You could hire people. Like it's a good time. But I want to read this verse to you guys because I think this is so key to where so many of us can go. Check this out. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Check this out. Verse 11. And make it your ambition. Notice he says, make it your ambition. There's nothing wrong with ambition. There's nothing wrong with desiring to change your situation, to desiring to improve yourself, to desiring to improve your family tree. There's nothing wrong with it. And he says, make it your ambition to what? Lead a quiet life. Lead a quiet life, okay? You should mind your own business and work with your own hands, just as we've told you. Mind your own business, work with your own hands, just as we've told you. This is something that he's telling them before. Lead a quiet life. What does that mean? I've said this before on the channel. Some of you guys thought I was joking. My goal in life is I'm not trying to be some famous rapper. I don't need to travel on a private jet and go preach 18 times a year in random parts of the country or overseas. I really have no desire. My goal is how can I impact as many people as possible, leveraging technology without ever being away from a hand's reach of my family. I got a 6-year-old and I got a 3-week-old and I have a wife, right? Lead a quiet life. How can I reach as many people with the least amount of carbon footprint, if you will, right? Lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your own hands, just as we told you. Work with your own hands. What is this saying? Well, in their times, they had different crafts. There was fishermen. Jesus was a carpenter. They call him the carpenter's son. Paul built tents, right? They worked with their own hands. So what does working with our own hands look like? This is what it looks like. Apple just announced the M1 iMac. The Mac Mini is changing the game. Apple is literally changing the game. What does that mean? That means that if you can save up $1,500, you can get one of the fastest computers out there to work with 4K footage, music, whatever you want to, okay? That is available April 30th. I run this whole thing off of two $600 Mac Minis. This whole operation. I got some nice screens, so on and so forth. What does that mean? That means that the tools to create videos, music, live streaming, design, art are getting easier and easier and easier to access. When I got my first computer, I was a sophomore in high school, and we built out a custom PC so I could do music. That joint cost me nearly $3,000. I got a laptop recently that cost me like $3,500. Now, the technology is changing so you can get the tools to create at a high professional level, whether that's music, video, 3D renderings, whatever you want to, on a $700 Mac Mini. The world is changing right before our eyes, guys. So working with your own hands in that context was more of a blue collar job. Now working with your own hands could be you editing video, being a freelance video editor, being a freelance designer. I love this idea of working with your own hands. And then verse 12, it says, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders, and so that you will not be dependent on anybody. A lot of you guys ask me, Ruslan, how could I better share my faith? How could I better evangelize? How can I contextualize the gospel? This says, if you lead a quiet life, you make your ambition to lead a quiet life, you mind your own business, you work with your own hands. That doesn't mean you got to go be a plumber. I mean, you could be a plumber, you could be whatever you want, right? But if you're a creative person like I am, if you work with your own hands, it says that if you do those things, your daily life may win the respect of outsiders. I think outsiders in this context is talking about people outside of your local community, people you don't know, but also it could be talking about folks that are not Christians, that are not followers of Jesus. Okay, that's really cool, man. That when you press into Jesus, you press into becoming the type of person that Jesus wants you to be, and you also say, okay, what else? Okay, I gotta make the most of my time, talent, and treasure. I gotta make the most of every opportunity for the days of evil. If I could do that on this side of eternity, I can win the respect of outsiders? Walking in your purpose can win the respect of outsiders? It doesn't get much better than that, right? And I know it's not about fame and clout and Instagram followers and social media, none of that kind of stuff. Because some of y'all, 50,000 followers will ruin your life. You will not know how to handle all the negative feedback, and you will let the praise get to you. It's not about the numbers. It's about the faithfulness that are you making your ambition to lead a quiet life, working with your own hands, minding your own business, so that your life may win the respect of outsiders, and so that you will not, this is the best part, the last part, check that out, the last part, so that you will not be dependent on anyone. I'm speaking primarily to folks in a Western North American context that could get their hands on an iMac or a Mac Mini, that can get their hands on fast internet, right? So this isn't a universally applicable point. I'm trying to take the scripture and view it in light of the context and the opportunity we have here today. Hopefully that's making sense. Because what I don't want this to sound like is a prosperity gospel that says, if you just believe in Jesus, Jesus is going to give you your wildest dreams. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you believe in Jesus, you become more like Jesus, you transform, and you look around, you see the opportunity available to you, look at what's in your hand, You look at the predispositions, the talent, the skills that you already have, and you're willing to press into that, and you're willing to develop useful skills, scarce skills, make yourself more useful to other people, you're gonna be in a good position. The best part of it is you won't be dependent on anybody. That's beautiful. You win the respect of others and you won't be dependent on anybody. What does that mean? That means you won't need to be dependent on someone else waking up for you to eat. That means that you can be a freelancer. You can build your own business. You can have multiple clients. You can do all kinds of different things, right? This is really a win-win-win-win-win. The win, make it your ambition. It's okay to have ambition. Some of you guys just need permission to have ambition for a change. Some of you guys have been so crippled by a poverty gospel mindset, by limited thinking, that you're just afraid to just acknowledge that, gosh darn it, you have some ambitions in life, okay? Lead a quiet life. Don't make it all about you. Don't make it all about you and your talent and how fantastic you are. I know society has told us you're a snowflake, you're one of a kind, all these different things, right? But don't make it all about you. Mind your business, work with your own hands, just as we told you, okay? Mind your business, work with your own hands, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders and thus that you will not be dependent on anybody. Hopefully this is encouraging you. Hopefully this is empowering you. And this is how we can mitigate the pressures of this world, the tension of this world, that if there's a ton of artists, everybody don't need to be a millionaire. Everybody don't need to be a decamillionaire or a billionaire. But goodness gracious, if we look up 5 years from now and there's 10,000 YouTube creators and they all make $100K a year, that's not like, oh, I'm just filthy rich, I don't know what to do with it. No, 100K a year. In most parts of the country, you can buy a home, you can pay it off, you can eat the kind of food you want to eat, you can have some flexibility in life, you can go on a vacation. That's gonna be incredible, and it's possible and it's coming. The question is, are you willing to put in the kind of work to get to where you want to get to? Are you willing to be honest and transparent and be conformed to the type of character and the type of person that Jesus wants you to be? And are you willing to be curious? Are you willing to learn new skills? Are you willing to make that investment? Are you willing to go flip, I don't know, tennis shoes, or go deliver papers, or go mow lawns so that you can get the extra money so you can go buy a computer and get the tools that you need to try some of these things? So those are my thoughts on this topic, man. Shout out to Jack, shout out to Joe Budden. That whole interview was dope. If you're in the hip hop space, if you're thinking about jumping into podcast space, YouTube space, any of those, highly recommend that you check out that full interview with Joe Budden on Jack's channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.